A question coming in from Dull says, "Dear Cyberpunk Wooly and Zangief's dad, why fly when you can jump good?" Recently, one Patrick Boivin has claimed that some games are terrible based solely on how it feels to jump. Normally, I'd think that's crazy, like normal, except one of my friends told me that he can't stand playing Rayman Legends or Origins because he turned the game off after jumping, saying it felt awful. This is pretty interesting since the two of us played Little Big Planet 3, and that game has a ridiculous floaty jump. On top of just
your
being
friend's
bad in
crazy.
General.
Your friend's like the premise of this is fine, but your friend being cool with Little Big Planets jumping and hates Raymans, like he's fucking nuts.
They're the same thing. It feels like.
So the question is,
anyways,
what's the criteria for a bad jump in a game? What makes a jump so bad that the game's unplayable? From Dull. To me,
You just know.
To me, it's DI. It's directional influence.
Correct.
Like if I cannot move while I'm airborne and to correct after a neutral jump or anything else, then that sucks. The floatiness is a secondary, like, behind the ability to DI. You know.
DI is important because, like, you go back to something like fucking God, Castlevania.
Yeah.
And like that has the shittiest jump known to man. Like it's unbelievable how fucking bad the original Castlevania jump is.
You should
like
try
you hit that button. You hit that button, you're like, I'm dead.
Commando.
Fair enough.
So,
but so like at the absolute lowest baseline, if you can hit a jump button and be like, I just died before your character's feet even leave the ground, that's a bad jump. That's really, really bad. If your character is so heavy they don't leave the ground, and you wonder why the game even has a jump button at all, such as Last of Us 2 has a jump button that I legit have no idea why it's in the game, because your character comes 1 foot off the ground and you never actually jump anywhere. It's just actually the action prompt, which would be fine. Terrible jump. And then there's a whole course, like a university course in between.
Yeah. You got your Blanca style jumps, which are high, fast falling, and Dante does them. Devil May Cry jumping is a Blanca style jump. And then you have my personal top of the list of best jumps of all time in video games, Legend of Kage. Done and done.
Whoa, that's cut, man. Holy shit.
Legend of Kage, best jumping in the history of video games. Wrap it up.
Because you jump for like 50 stories.
Yeah. It's a Yuan Wu Ping movie. You jump as if you're on fucking strings doing an old kung fu action flick. It's incredible.
Wow,
Like,
that's a deep cut.
It's funny because when me and Gene were in DMs arguing about his terrible taste with Resident Evil 6, he did mention a different game, which, despite having trash elements, I can absolutely understand why people like, because the Crackdown games are completely carried by their incredible jump button.
Yes. Yeah. Otogi has a similar jump to Crackdown as well.
Otogi, yes.
You fucking fly. You just fly. It's so
Otogi
fun.
No one ever talks about Otogi. Ugh.
You know what game has a terrible jump and might be like the gold standard for terrible, like, what are you doing jumps ever?
Sonic 4?
Is no. It's going to be a game you don't even think about jumping in. It's Jedi Outcast or Jedi Academy.
Oh my god.
Because the jump has no acceleration. It has no acceleration. You just go straight up. It's a float.
Yeah.
And you're moving the camera around to orient yourself in the battle.
That's how the DI works. You move the entire camera around, I guess. To like, I guess. I don't know.
Terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, when they ported it to Switch, like, I went back in and popped it in, you know, and tried it out for a bit, and I had fun. But it is true, that jump was always rough, you know. And they wanted to make it like force jumping, right? Like, that's what it is. So
yeah, but like force jumping still have acceleration, and
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
people
we barely know what the
it-
fuck force jump even looks like because they changed how it looks like every fucking movie.
Yeah.
You know? So
But like, people know what it feels like to jump. It's a normal human action that every single person over the age of 3 has done. So you know that you accelerate. So when you don't accelerate at all, or you accelerate too fast, you just go, ah.
There you go. I hope that answers the question.
Metroid Prime had a great jump for being a first-person game.
Metroid Prime
Metroid
invented the good first-person jump.
Metroid games in general always have the best jumps. Like they're just tight as fuck on that.
Like,
you know,
it's kind of wild because Metroid Prime was the very first-person game that had a jump that went, you know what? This is really hard. What if we force the camera to look just a little bit down on the down slope of the jump so that you actually see where you're going to land?
Yep. Genius design decision. Absolutely.
Yep. There you go. And like again, you can wax poetic on jumps for a while.
You could literally do an entire 100-episode podcast series on the acceleration and inertial drift of a jump per episode.
Is it tap to hop? Can you get extra height by holding it down? Do you get a floaty feel like Michael Jordan Chaos in Windy City? Because that game is all about the jump man. You can go a million places. All right, but I think that answers the question.